Yeah, today we are going to have this very special webinar with a new entrance to the market, which is Get Ground. So it's very interesting webinar. But before I start, very good afternoon to everybody. I'm Doris Tan from Benham Reeves in Singapore, which is a leading estate agency in London. And with us today on the panel will be our board director from London, Mark Van Goor, who will speak on the London property market update, giving us the best information about the COVID situation as well as the latest stamp duty change. So Mark will speak on that, followed by Bianca van den Berg, who is the regional key account manager for Get Ground. So those who are interested to find out more about acquiring properties through a UK company, Bianca will tell you all about it. And of course, we have Roger Feck, our international sales manager from St. James, who will introduce to us the new launch of Cassini and Waterside at White City, which is our best seller among all the properties that we've sold so far in Singapore. So without further ado, we call upon Mark. Thank you.
Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. As Doris said, I'm Mark Van Goor here. I'm a director of Benham Reeves based in London, and thank you so much for joining us today. And it's good to see so many people today, and I hope you're going to keep your questions coming in for us all to answer some nice, difficult questions if we can have them. So anyway, it's good to start off with. It's good to see that things in London and globally are finally reopening and returning to normality. But what I think I'm going to try to do for you now is to cut through a lot of the hyperbole that's being put out there and explain actually what's happening in London property at a ground level. And as agents, you know, including Doris and our Singapore team, we're working from our offices again, seeing things from the perspective of developers, tenants, landlords, and investors from around the world. And to give you some context on that, why Benham Reeves are so good to give you advice is because as a company, Benham Reeves has been established now in London for the last 60 years. We've got 16 branches across London, and internationally we have 8 branches, including one, which Doris has mentioned, in Singapore, where we've been since 1999, helping clients. So Doris and our team there help our clients with a full one-stop service. As an investor's agent, we're unique because our Singapore office is on hand not only to sell properties, but to support our clients through the life cycle of property ownership, giving advice on investment and support in every way possible. And today we manage 3,000 properties in London. Very briefly on what Benham Reeves do, well, in a word, we do everything, property related, of course. That's from investment advice of what to buy, where to buy, and why you should consider buying it. And that's what we're going to do today and talk about this wonderful White City project. Then when you've bought it and you come to completion, we do the handover and snagging for you. You don't have to come all the way to London just to check the apartment's finished. We do that for you. We can then arrange the furnishings for you. And if you want it painted or kitchen changed or any works, we can do that for you. Then we deal with the lettings or leasing, finding a good tenant, collecting the rent, credit referencing them, dealing with property management then. It's not like Singapore where you have the tenants call you in the middle of the night. They call us. The tenants will never have your number. And finally, to close that, we do tax returns. So whether you have any tax to pay or not, you still legally have to do a tax return in the UK. And we do that for you. And everything that I've mentioned, we do it in-house. Everything is done by us in-house. Nothing is ever subcontracted. So we never get let down. And in turn, we never have to let a client down. So now turning to what's actually been happening in London. As COVID hit, the property market froze. Demand for rental properties fell by 55% in March, and there was a 70% drop in buyer inquiries. However, over the last month, as restrictions on agents have been relaxed and the market reopened, lots has been happening. Demand for rentals and sales is now above pre-COVID levels. And as a business, we're receiving on average over 8% more inquiries than we did in February. And June was extremely busy for us. We let more homes this June compared to 2019. 65% of them were let within 5% of the asking rent. 50%, that's over half, were let for longer than 1 year. And in fact, 10% of the flats we let were for over 3 years. And on the day after the government's decision to reopen the housing market, the UK's biggest portal, Rightmove, reported its busiest day ever on record, with more than 6 million visits to its listings, which is an 18% increase compared to the same day a year before. Zoopla, another big portal, they reported for May dramatic increases in both leasing and sales inquiries, with a number of sales now at pre-COVID levels, and importantly, demand for homes 46% above levels in early March. The next indicator is the latest figures from HMRC. They showed that house sales jumped 16% in May, which is another sign that the London property market is fully back to life. If sales continue at this rate, supported by low mortgage rates, then prices will rise much faster than predicted. Borrowing has never been cheaper because of COVID-19. And with Bank of England base rates now at 0.1%, and unlike the financial crisis of 2008, banks are now fully capitalized and want to lend. Global markets continue to be in turmoil. And with money in the bank actually losing its value when inflation's taken into account, property yields of 4 to 5% are really enticing. Sterling has also been affected by COVID, and today, overseas investors benefit from a sterling discount of up to 30%, effectively enabling an investor to buy at the 2014 exchange rate. And a big announcement last week was the Chancellor's decision to scrap stamp duty for anybody buying a property up to £500,000. And when I say anybody, that includes investors as well, which was a big surprise to the UK press. So anybody that buys a property up to £500,000 saves all the stamp duty. So that's up to £15,000. But even if you spend £1 million or £2 million, you still save the £15,000 in stamp duty. Of course, as an overseas investor, you still have to pay, whether it's a UK person or an overseas investor, you still have to pay the additional 3% stamp duty for buying a second home, but that's still a huge saving. And that means you have to buy a property and complete it by the end of March. So this is the time to get cracking and buying. On the horizon though, from April 2021, there's another tax change coming to stamp duty, and overseas buyers this time will have to pay an additional 2% stamp duty. So this was already creating quite a lot of pent-up demand, with many planning to beat this deadline. And they're now starting to pounce, especially in light of the new scrapping of stamp duty by our Chancellor. Meanwhile, developers are now offering good discounts. Many have completed units which they need to sell in a buyer's market, so there are good deals to be had. But let's not lose sight of what really matters. London has proved time after time it's an extremely resilient city, be it in the face of recession, terrorism, or illness. Property has always been the safe haven, and London continues to stand out, as the world's capital city. Next slide, please. First, it's because of business. There's been significant post-Brexit investment by international giants like Bloomberg, McKinsey, Wells Fargo, Citigroup, and the world's largest sovereign fund, Norwegian sovereign fund, have invested into the UK. Second is finance. London has the highest concentration of financial and professional service firms in the world. Third, there's tech. London has an incredibly strong tech sector, with every major tech company having a global presence in London. Google, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Snapchat all announced new headquarters. £10.1 billion worth of investment last year. And amazingly, more people now work in fintech in London than New York or even Silicon Valley. The fourth and a key driver is the education. London is the leading academic hub. It consistently ranks as the world's top student city. And can you believe there are 450,000 overseas students in the UK, contributing £20 billion to our economy? Fifth is the rental market. A third of London households live in private rented accommodation today. And that's the biggest shift since I've been in property over the last 25 years. And it's only going to increase further. PwC, the accountants, forecast that by 2025, 60% of London households will be renting. That's only 5 years. And finally, it's the economy. The UK is the 6th largest economy in the world. But London's economic growth is double the rest of the UK, and things are going to get a whole lot better when the incredible Crossrail project finally opens. So at Benham Reeves, we are optimistic because this is a market with sound long-term fundamentals. COVID is a crisis, let's no doubt, with financial implications, but it's not driven by finance, as banks are fully capitalized and keen to lend flexibly. Most importantly of all, and this really is crucial to creating some context at a time like this, never in London's many centuries of history has there been a crisis from which markets and house prices have not bounced back stronger. And as I just said, London is always the safe haven, and given all the uncertainty currently going on in Hong Kong, we're seeing large numbers of Hong Kong residents flocking to buy in London, and that's only going to increase. And so it's important to buy now, to join them or be ahead of the curve. The market is now returning, and I firmly believe that this is a time of opportunity and indeed a great time to invest because of the low interest rates, the discounts, the strong rental demand, the cheap pound for overseas buyers, and of course, the new scrapping of stamp duty. As Warren Buffett puts it so perfectly, it's one of my favorite quotes he's come up with, is widespread fear is your friend as an investor because it serves up bargain purchases. Whether you're talking about socks or stocks, I like buying quality merchandise when it's marked down. And of course, that includes property too. And there's never been a time in history that London property didn't bounce back from being marked down. So just quickly turning to our forecast for property in the UK, for sales, UK house prices increased by 2.4% over the last 12 months, which is up from 1.4% at the start of 2020. Zoopla saw asking prices for sold homes for May 7% higher than last year, with a 34% increase in agreed sales. Our revised forecast for London for 2020 is now flat, with a forecast of 2 to 3% increase in Q3. And over the next 5 years, average predictions are between 13 and 18% growth in London sales prices. And on the lettings front, forecasts are for a 15% growth in London rents over the next 5 years, with the prediction that 60% of Londoners will be renting by then. And I'm not just optimistic in my professional capacity, but also as a private investor, where I continue to look for value and believe this is a wise time, not just to hold property, but also to pick up some real value. It's important to target your investment. London may be a single word, but within it, there are 32 different boroughs, different cultures, and different property profiles. So we look for property investment hotspots with a particular focus on regeneration areas where we know our clients will succeed and do well. Regeneration is about creating new places where people will want to live and want to work. And Berkeley Homes are one of the UK's leading property developers, famous for placemaking and building superb homes in regeneration hotspots. And that all translates into capital appreciation for investors that buy into this vision. So this brings me to our exclusive launch today, the 35-story Cassini Tower, the latest phase of the White City Living development at the centre of one of London's largest regeneration projects, the £8 billion White City regeneration area. Located right next to Westfield Shopping Centre, this couldn't be better located with Kensington right on your doorstep. In fact, we're so confident in White City living that, firstly, we'll be opening an office on site right next to the main concierge, and that'll be open within the next 3 months. And secondly, we've already put our money behind the development, and we've bought a unit here, which we already let to one of our corporate tenants only 2 days after completing, and achieved a yield of 4.7%. This development is incredibly popular with rental demand far outstripping supply. 90% of the flats we have available receive offers within 72 hours. That's just 3 days. And even at the height of COVID, demand for lettings in White City living continued to be extremely strong, and we still concluded quite a lot of lets within the development. Another interesting stat is across our company, we receive on average 34 applicants or inquiries for every available property. But in White City living, that number is higher at almost 40 inquiries for every available property. Tenants simply love the convenience of the location and the amazing facilities, and of course, the fact that Westfield is right next door, which is why this regeneration hotspot has already become a favourite with tenants, homeowners, and more importantly, investors. Buying off plan here has reaped strong returns already, and our launch today provides a golden opportunity for investors. So before Roger talks on the scheme itself, I'm going to pass over to Bianca from GetGround so she can explain the best way to buy the property. And then Roger, as I said, from St James will run through the development in detail. Thank you very much. Bianca, over to you.
Thank you, Mark, for your introduction. So my name is Bianca van den Berg, and I'm here today to talk to you about GetGround. Now at GetGround, we are bringing greater transparency and trust to the buy-to-let market, and we make your money work harder by being smarter in the way that you purchase your property. GetGround is in part FCA regulated, so the FCA is the Financial Conduct Authority. We're also registered with the Information Commission Office. We've passed the highest security checks with Netitude to ensure that all of our customers' data is safe and secure, and we are also partly funded by the UK government. GetGround has offices in London, Hong Kong, and in Singapore, and we only deal with investors, and we help enhance those investments being made. Next slide, please. So what do? We specialise in setting up and running UK limited companies for the sole purpose of buying buy-to-let property. Now, holding property in a company structure is nothing new. However, we have made it far more accessible due to our technology. There were usually two reasons why in the past investors would not set up a UK company. And that is the reason of cost, the cost of setting things up and the cost to run the company, and the reason of time, the time to set things up and the time to run it. Now, at GetGround, we are changing everything purely by making it accessible to all of our customers to do everything online. And it gives you the ability to do everything within 20 to 30 minutes. In fact, the record time to register and set up a company was set last month, and it only took the customer 12 minutes to set up their UK limited company, which is absolutely incredible. Now, this is only possible due to the technology. So we've got a team of 20 people in the UK, and they've been working very hard over the last 2 years. And our technology removes the cost and the time it takes up to set up the company. So what do? We're making it accessible to anyone to purchase a property in a company structure without the fees and the hassle. We provide the ease and the cost effectiveness. So at GetGround, we will create your company. We register that company with Companies House. We handle the web filing. We structure and input all shareholders' details. We produce and verify all of the legal documentation that is associated with the company. We coordinate with your solicitors who handle the purchase, and we also provide you with a UK bank account. Furthermore, we deal with all of the financial administration. So this includes the bookkeeping, the tax filing, the tax auditing, your company tax returns, all of the account services and company secretarial work, and we act as the company registered address. Now, it's important to note that all of our legal paperwork is produced by CMS Law. CMS Law is the same law firm that the UK government uses, so it's of the highest quality. Next slide. So why would you use a company? You use a company to maximize your profits, increase flexibility, and reduce risks. The advantages are tax efficiencies, but we'll get back to that on the next slide. There's reduced personal liability, especially in light of the recent COVID situation. Many of our customers have felt much more reassured due to the increased protection provided when holding your property separate from your personal affairs. It makes it much easier to buy and sell with other people as well. The shareholder agreement states exactly who owns what, and you can move shares around as and when you want as well. It improves your estate and inheritance planning, and there's also a very well-developed mortgage market. In 2019 alone, over 30,000 buy-to-let properties were purchased in the UK in a company structure, and there are now more than 400 different mortgage products available. So holding your property in a get-round company structure can actually improve your return between 50 to 66%, which is huge. Next slide, please. So here you will see some of the tax advantages. There's 3 stages to buy-to-let investments: the purchase, owning the property, and selling the property. Now, when you purchase the property, there are no changes to stamp duty land tax between personal and company ownership. During ownership, there are 2 key benefits. That is the ability to fully offset the mortgage interest rate against your tax bill. And this can be a substantial saving, as the interest rate is usually the biggest cost associated with the property. So it helps you ensure that your income liability is kept to a minimum. And this leads me to the second point, which is the additional benefit to take out money from the property and company very efficiently. You can take income from the property by means of dividends income, and there's 0% tax for this for non-UK residents, or you can pay a repayment of the director's loan. Now, with personal ownership, you will pay income tax over your rental income, which is either 20% or 40%, depending on which tax bracket you are. On exit, when you sell the property, you again have 2 options. You can either sell the property out of the company, or you sell the shares of the company with the property included. Now, selling the shares of the property is an instant saving of 8% on your capital gains tax. So both will actually attract a lower capital gains tax compared to owning your property in your own personal name. Furthermore, the buyer, when they purchase the company of you instead of just a property, they do not have to pay stamp duty land tax. So that will mean that your property will become instantly more desirable to buyers, and you'll have a price advantage in the market too. Next slide, please. Now, our fees. We are 10 times more cost effective than any other products in the market. As mentioned, the UK government has invested in our company. They really want to further professionalize the buy-to-let markets, and they want to encourage investors to hold their property in a company structure. Now, our technology allows every investor to go down this route. So at the front end, we are plugged into company's house system, which means that we can set up your company within minutes. And we are plugged into HMRC Inland Revenue System. So this allows us to set up companies quickly, handle tax returns time efficiently, and therefore keep the cost down for managing your company. Now, this lower cost filters down to our customers. So we have a very simple and transparent fee structure. There's a one-off setup fee for £500 plus VAT. And for that, we create the company, registered with Company House, handle the web filing, structure and input all of the shareholders' details, produce and verify all of the legal documentation, and coordinate with your solicitors handling the purchase. Now, there's an ongoing management fee of £20 plus VAT per month, and that will cover the bookkeeping, the tax filing, the tax auditing, the company tax returns, all of the account services, all of the secretarial work, and also acting as that company registered address. So the full process is easy, it's efficient, it's straightforward, it's very transparent, and it hugely improves the return of your investment property. So that's it from me. So I will hand you back to Doris or to Roger.
I think you'll go to Roger.
Roger, over to you.
Thank you, Bianca. Thank you, Mark. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Roger Fagg. I'm International Sales Manager for St. James. And it gives me great pleasure this afternoon to introduce our flagship development for St. James, which is White City Living in the heart of West London. This is a landmark development right in the heart of White City. And we are very excited this week to be launching our new Cassini Tower in Singapore. As Mark is saying, this is a 35-story tower, and it will offer residents breathtaking views across the heart of West London. Not sure if I can get access. Yes, the next slide. So this just gives you an image of what the views will look like from the tower, and you can see the fantastic views across Hyde Park and Holland Park and into central London. So a bit about St. James, for those of you who don't know who St. James are, we are part of the Berkeley Group. So we are one of the largest house developers in the UK. We've been building properties since 1976. We have a market capitalisation of £5.4 billion. We've built 19,000 homes in the last 5 years. And we have an international office network which across Asia, in Beijing, Shanghai, Hong Kong, Singapore, Dubai and Bangkok. But we also have, so St. James is part of the Berkeley Group. We have obviously other umbrella brands within that group, which are the likes of St. Edward, St. George, St. Joseph and St. William. So this is where the development is located. As I say, we're in the heart of West London, and we are right next to some of the golden postcodes in London. The likes of Notting Hill, Holland Park and Kensington are on our doorstep. So really, really centrally located in West London. This is a big development. So there is over 2,300 apartments that are going to be delivered as part of White City Living, and it built in 5 phases. It's actually a 10-year build program. So we'll be building the development up until 2028. One of the big things about White City Living as a development is the level of green space and parks and gardens which are part of the development. So there's actually 8 acres of landscaping within the development. We're delivering a new 5-acre public park and really transforming the environment for residents. There's excellent transport links, which I will mention shortly, and also world-class residence facilities. So this aerial shot here just shows you where White City Living is in relation to our neighbours in West London. So you can see in the centre of the image here, we've got White City Living. Immediately to the south, which is on the right-hand side of this image, we have the Westfield shopping mall. On the other side of Wood Lane, which is on the south section of this image here, we have the old home to the BBC, which is BBC Television Centre. We have on the north section of White City in the northwest, we've got White City Place, which is a new business and tech district, which I will discuss later as well. And also we have 2 new campuses, which is part of Imperial College London. But as Mark was saying, one of the big things is for White City, there's £8 billion of investment coming into the area over the next few years. There'll be 5,000 new homes which will be delivered. And White City is really being transformed into a new home for media and for technology and for science and for education. So a lot of changes that are happening in the area at the moment. So this is how the development is looking currently to date. This is taken from Wood Lane, which runs, it's on the main roads that runs north, south through White City. And you can see our development on the left-hand side of the image here. And we've got the Westfield shopping mall, which is about a minute's walk from the front of the development, and that is just immediately to the south. So we have sold over 500 apartments to date, currently at White City Living. We've got over 100 apartments which are now built complete, which people are now living in. And we've transformed the landscaping at the front of the development with also some of the retailers opening up in the arches as well. So a lot of changes that have currently been happening in the landscaping. And you can see here, again, this image shows you some of the landscaping in terms of the fountains and show apartments that we've delivered as well. So in terms of what's been changing in White City and what's new in White City, obviously the Westfield shopping mall, this opened up 10 years ago. And 2 years ago, it underwent an extension of the shopping mall. And as a result of that, it is now the biggest shopping mall in Europe. So there's 360 stores, 60 dining venues within Westfield, and it is also the only shopping mall in the UK which has a luxury shopping village within the mall. So there is 35 high-end boutiques, the likes of Dior and Tiffany, Prada, Louis Vuitton, which are based within Westfield London shopping mall. And one of the big changes that's coming into the area now is Harrods have just recently opened up at Westfield. This is a really great addition into the area. And it's a real endorsement in terms of how White City is changing, because, you know, Harrods is world famous and they've chosen to open their second store in the UK at Westfield. There's also one of the biggest John Lewis stores in the UK at Westfield. And the critical thing to remember here is to walk from White City Living to the Westfield shopping mall takes about 1 to 2 minutes walk. So it's really fantastic and incredibly convenient for the residents who will be living within the development. Obviously at Television Centre, that was the old home to the BBC, and that's been transformed, and there is a lot of new restaurants and cafes, including a new Soho House private members club, which has opened up at Television Centre as well. White City Place, I mentioned this briefly earlier. This is on the northwest section of White City, but it's a new business and tech district. And we've got some of the biggest names and brands in the UK that are based there. The likes of ITV, which is the #2 television network in the UK. We've got Net-a-Porter and Mr. Porter, which are two of the biggest online clothing retailers in the UK. Royal College of Art is also based there. There's over 3,000 people who are working and based at White City Place. So a really exciting new business and tech district. We also have, this is brand new, this is Scale Space, which is a new business innovation space. This is on the Imperial College London campus, but it's going to be a base where people can start their companies and get business mentoring and guidance in terms of running their companies, whether it be anything from patents to taxation to marketing. But there'll be 2,500 entrepreneurs who'll be based at Scale Space, and it's another big investment. It's £53 million investment into White City. So very exciting that this is also opening up. And then we come on to one of the biggest reasons why people have been buying into the White City Living development. One of the biggest changes in the area. Imperial College London, it's a top 10 university worldwide, and they are building their brand new 23-acre campus at White City. So this is really, really exciting. It's a £3 billion investment into the area. It's more than double the size of the White City Living development, but it just is a fantastic addition into White City and will be transforming White City into an area which will not only be known as for shopping and dining, but also as a district of academic excellence. Critical thing if you're going to property for buy to let, or even if you're going to live in the property yourself, is transport links. And we are really lucky at White City Living that we have 3 tube lines with 2 underground stations right at the entrance of the development. So we've got Wood Lane Station and White City Station. And to give you an example of how well connected that is, if you are going on the central line, you can get from the development to Notting Hill in 6 minutes, 12 minutes to Bond Street, 25 minutes to Bank in the financial district in the city, and it's 30 minutes to Heathrow Airport. So really, really fantastic transport links, which is really great for investors. So as I said, we are launching Cassini this week in Singapore. We're very excited to be launching this building, and I've got a very quick video to show you of the new Cassini Tower. So I hope that gives you a good idea of how the Cassini Tower will be looking. It's right in the heart of the Water Gardens, which is actually phase 3 of our development. It's all about waterside living, but in the heart of West London. So this image shows you a view from one of the apartments on the higher levels within the building. And as you can see, you get this great wraparound terrace. So actually all the apartments at White City Living do have a balcony or a terrace, which is great. And you can see how the views are sort of an infinite view across London from this apartment. And as I said, phase 3 is all about living by the water's edge. So there is a huge emphasis on the water gardens within this this section of White City Living. And yeah, in terms of, there's actually over 6,000 individual trees and plants from over 40 different species within the water gardens. And again, this just this image CGI shows you in terms of, we've got some cascading water features that lead down into the center stage. But obviously the Cassini Tower being really at the heart of the White City Living development. So we do have luxury facilities within the development. So we have 24-hour concierge, a new concierge we're building within Cassini Tower. We also have world-class residence facilities, which include a gym, there's a private dining room, there's a business lounge, a residence club lounge, and plus this fantastic swimming pool, which actually is really quite unusual because it's at ground floor level and you get daylight which actually comes into the swimming pool, which in London, even if you stay in the best hotels in London, you rarely ever get natural light coming to swimming pools. So we really thought about that, and in terms of creating a great environment for residents. We have a brand new residence lounge as well, which is within this this phase of the development. And as you can see, you've got really fantastic views over the water gardens and really connecting the residents to the natural environment and the landscaping. What we also are offering, and this is a first at White City Living, we are offering touch-free access. Now, what this is basically allows you to get from outside of the building into your up to your apartment door without having to touch any buttons. So basically what will happen is you pair the Bluetooth on your phone with the security coding for the development, and as you're approaching the entrance to the development, it will recognize you from your phone. It will open the doors to the main entrance building, and it will also call the lift and program it to your floor and take you up right up to your apartment without you having to touch any buttons. And obviously in this world of COVID-19, and just in terms of making life easy access. So if you've been shopping at Harrods and you've been in the sale and you've bought loads of items and you don't want to touch anything, you can basically get right up to your apartment door without having to touch anything. So it's all about making lives easier for the residents. These images just show you our new show apartment, which looks really fantastic. So we have, for example, in the kitchens, they are Miele kitchen appliances. You have dual oven, wine cooler, dishwasher, and there is underfloor heating throughout, comfort cooling in all habitable rooms. You can see the bathroom here on one of the bottom images. The bathrooms are actually Italian, they're made in Italy and then sent to the UK. So it just ensures that they are of a extremely high standard and quality. And this shows you our new master bedroom. So just to give you an idea of some of the apartments that we are launching this weekend, this is a really fantastic 1-bedroom apartment. It's on the first floor. It's 548 square feet. Obviously it has its own balcony, and you can see here that the views you get from this apartment overlook the central gardens. You can see Westfield there in the corner, but really connecting residents to the landscaping. So this apartment is £860,000. It's got a westerly aspect, yeah, will be really popular. Then if we go higher up in the building, going up to the 27th floor, this is a great apartment. Again, you've got this really big wraparound terrace. This is 984 square feet, and will offer incredible views across London. So this has an easterly aspect, this apartment. It's on the 27th floor. It's a 1.655 million. And again, yeah, offers fantastic views across West London. You can see across to Holland Park, Hyde Park, and then into central London. So we are offering for people who attend the launch event this for 4 days in Singapore, we are offering a very special incentive for buyers for those 4 days only. For buyers who reserve an apartment and sign contracts during the 4-day launch, we will, on selected apartments, be offering a £15,000 discount off the purchase price, which I'm sure you'll all agree is a great incentive for buyers for this weekend. But yeah, we're really excited to be launching Cassini in Singapore. It's a fantastic building. As I say, it's a flagship development within St. James and one of the biggest within Berkeley Group. So I'm very excited to be launching that this weekend. And Doris, over to you. Doris, we can't hear you.
Doris, I think you're on mute and everybody can't hear you at the moment. It's a bit quiet. Oh, it's still very quiet. We can't hear what Doris is saying. I'm sorry, everyone. We've obviously got a technical glitch at the moment. No, it's still not working, Doris, which is a bit disappointing. Not sure what we can do. I'm really sorry, everybody, for listening. I'm really sorry that we can't get through. Well, thanks very much to Roger for that fantastic talk. I think we'll all agree. I mean, I talked about it in my talk, what a great development White City is and how much demand it is for letting. And obviously the finish is amazing too. We feel as a business that it's done incredibly well, both from a capital growth point of view and from a letting perspective. And I think Doris just wanted to say a few words because she has sold, had the most number of clients so far buying White City from Singapore, and wanted to explain why she likes this more than ever. Doris, can you hear now? Can we hear you? No, we can't hear you still. I'm sorry.
Really? I think.
Yeah. Oh dear, I'm really sorry, everyone. This is a bit annoying. But we're having, as Roger said, the exclusive launch is this coming Thursday through to Sunday. It's going to be at Berkeley's office in Marina Bay Financial Centre, Tower 2. The address is on the screen at the moment. But we do need to make appointments because of the regulations. Oh, Doris, we can hear you now. That's brilliant.
Okay, good. Sorry about the technical glitch. Yeah. So we are on to questions and answer sessions. And also what Mark has just mentioned, why I like this project so much. Yeah, I bought into this scheme. Well, needless to say, the connectivity is number one. You're surrounded by 3 tube stations and Westview Shopping Mall. We all love shopping, so very easy. Just cross the across the road you got Westview, and very close to Imperial College, the new campus. So everything is within your doorstep and definitely very rentable. So this is a great scheme, and we've been waiting for a long time for it to come on. And West London has traditionally, there's no new built in this area with such facilities. So I believe it will do very, very well in time to come, especially. And you're buying in first phase and second phase. Cassini is the tower, which is fantastic. So any questions leading up to the webinar? So I have a few questions here. The first one is, I think is for Bianca. Can a BVI company be transferred to a UK limited company? What are the advantages?
We wouldn't advise anyone to do so. If you're already holding a property, it's already completed, and you change the ownership, then you would have to pay stamp duty, land tax. So we wouldn't advise you to change the ownership. It's probably better to set up the company or the property has completed. There wouldn't be any huge advantage. It will actually cost you more money on the stamp duty if you would do that.
Okay. Oh, another question that comes in is for Bianca as well. Which are the banks get groundwork with to open accounts for clients?
It's an online bank, but you wouldn't have a credit card or a debit card. It's actually an online bank.
I see. It's not it's an online bank.
Yes, so it's not.
You know the name of the
HSBC
financial
account
institution?
I don't actually, which is a little bit embarrassing. But I'll look this up for you. I'll see if I can find it.
Thanks. Yeah.
I must say on the GetGround product, I'd just like to add, I do think it's a very interesting. So we've done as a business quite a lot of research into this. So I have, as I said, we have about 1,000 clients in Singapore who a lot of them have asked questions because they already own it, either own the asset in a personal name or in a company, an offshore structure. And a lot of people have asked, is it possible to transfer? It is possible to transfer if it's owned in your personal name or another company, but there are significant costs. I mean, Bianca's obviously been recently with the company, and I'm sure knows a lot more than I do, but I did speak to the couple of guys that set the business up. And if you own a property, number one, you can have up to 8 shareholders because obviously you each own a share. So it's quite good for inheritance tax planning because you can buy it in a couple's name and then add your children on to pass down inheritance tax, which is becoming increasingly important in the UK. And secondly, if you own it in a BVI company, you can transfer it, but there are significant legal costs. So it's the point with transferring, unless there's something wrong, it's simply not worth doing. I think what Bianca said, which is the most important thing, is if you're going to buy another property, hopefully today from Doris, then you should buy, if you are going to buy, there'd be no reason why you would buy it in your personal name. The tax savings within the company are very, very interesting. And you save inheritance tax. Well, inheritance tax, you can obviously pass shares to other members of the family to help yourself. You can still get finance. You can offset the finance costs in full against the income. you only pay company tax on the corporation tax on the profit, the total net profit, and the rest is paid out in dividend. It's just for UK taxpayers, it's not great because we pay dividend tax here, but it's a very interesting product. So just to add to that, I'm sure Bianca would have said that later, but I just thought I'd get it in because I only yesterday was I asked by a Middle Eastern client, can I have 7? Because himself, his wife, and his 5 children, he wanted to add 7 shareholders, and yes, you can.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah, and it's
very cheap, I must say. I don't know how they're doing it for £240 a year. It costs £100. No, it costs £100 to register the tax return when you do it with HMRC. So I don't know how they're doing it so cheap, but it's fantastic to take advantage of it now.
yes, and not only that, I think the advantage is they help you to file tax and all that. Just for such a small amount of money, so it will be very convenient because over the weekend somebody asked me, keep buying London properties, such a headache, you have to file tax and all that. But with Get Ground there, and the charges are so nominal, it's so easy. So please speak to me. I'll introduce you to Get Ground to get all this sorted out. Yeah. Another question is, I think it's for Roger. Who are the buyers at White City?
In terms of the buyers, we've had buyers from all over the world. So, I mean, we've had buyers obviously from the UK. We've had buyers from across Asia, from the Middle East, some from the US. I mean, London is a truly global city. So if you look at the demographic of people who are in London, there are people from all over the world. And that's one of the great things that, White City Living has attracted people from all over the world in terms of investors, because it is such a unique investment. I mean, in terms of the transport links, shopping, the dining, the lifestyle, the living in a park in West London, living by the water's edge, the new university a new campus for Imperial College London. It's been attractive to people from all over the world. So in terms of people we've sold from people all over the world.
Oh, next question is from Mark. Is rental market still buoyant in London, and whether a 1-bed or 2-bed is easier to rent?
Sure. So yeah, the rental market is still buoyant. As I said in my talk, June was our busiest month. July, we've already exceeded last year's figures, and we're not even at the end of it yet. So yeah, the market is buoyant. A lot of people are saying, well, we had a quiet April and May. We did have a quieter April and May, but it wasn't so disastrous that now we're playing some huge catch up. The bigger thing that we don't have, which is why it's a tide coming in my talk, I talked about how education is so important. We have had a massive drop in overseas students this year. Obviously, lots of people are worried about quarantine. The universities haven't come out and made 100% declaration that they're going to be open in October. No one knows about social distancing in the universities and the classroom. There's a lot of questions going on. But let's be honest, the education system has not ground to a halt, and I think the universities will open. Certainly UK students are planning to go, and I think overseas students will come. The only thing at the moment, they are not here, which they would normally be, and we are not doing anywhere near the volume. And the number of students we're letting to is probably down by 85% at the moment. So what that means is not because students aren't coming, they're just not here yet, and they don't want to commit yet. I think we will see an incredibly busy August and September and a bum rush at the beginning of October, where they all pile in and want to get near the universities because there's so little university accommodation. So most of them are into private rented accommodation. So the market is very buoyant. Companies are still coming, and there's a lot of people there. Talking about 1 or 2 bedroom apartments, this is a very interesting question because in the past, I would say 1 bedrooms are the best by a million place because the smaller the unit, it appeals to the most people because there's lots more single unit households than there are large family households. So you can, if you have a 1 bedroom, you can rent to a single person or a couple. Now with the demographic shift in people's requirements now, which we're seeing as tenants, we've had 150% increase in numbers of people searching for outside space. And I think now outside space is important for people working from home. So that's why it's good to have a nice development or a nice place where there's a park or gardens in the development where people can actually go outside and get to the shops nearby. Secondly, about whether you want a 1 or a 2 bedroom. Clearly, if more people are working from home now, then having that extra space, we're seeing a lot of people demand, saying, I'm looking for a 2 bedroom. Now, obviously there's a cost implication in what you're buying, but I would think now we will see demand levels of an equal. It used to be higher for 1 bedrooms, and we were reduced through the scale, 1 bedroom, then 2 bedrooms, then drop to 3 and 4 bedrooms. I think you will see a 50-50 search between 1 beds and 2 beds. Of course, it's price reliant, and it depends on location and depends what people want. But absolutely, I don't think, personally, I've always bought 1 bedrooms. And however, the unit we have at White City is a 2 bedroom unit. And that rented, as I said, within 2 days, we had a tenant. They moved in so quickly. And we've mainly rented, funny enough, 2 bedrooms in White City Living. So, as I said, I don't have a view either way. Now I would say to investors, look at 1 bed or 2 bed. The only advice I give if you're looking at a 2 bed, this is my only piece of advice. Buy a 2 bedroom, but do not buy a 1 bathroom. Only buy with a 2nd bathroom, because if you buy with 1 bathroom, you can never work rent to sharers, because people today do not want to share a bathroom. They want to have their own bathroom. And to be fair, if you have a guest come around, do you really want them using your bathroom? You know, I just don't think that works. It doesn't work. And to be fair, tenants that are looking for 2 bedrooms, they always want 2 bathrooms, and it will help you on resale. So equal, I would say. And actually, that's a change that COVID's had for us, this equalization between 1 and 2 bed demand.
I think very important is not 1 bedroom or 2 bedroom. To me, very, very important is to buy in a successful scheme in a well-located location, which is White City Living, and you will never go wrong. And I must emphasize that during COVID, I remember the date during lockdown. It was end of March. I have 3 clients completing in the first phase, first block, Lincoln, and I was very worried that I couldn't rent out for them, but not White City Living. It flew out of the door even during COVID. So it gives us so much confidence about this project. And of course, I myself bought a 2 bed. So it doesn't matter 1 bed, 2 beds, but it's a good property to invest in. And buying London is definitely not for short term, medium to long term. So you don't buy today and sell tomorrow for this kind of project. It's actually a jewel in, a jewel in the crown for your investment portfolio, for your property portfolio. So you must buy well, buy proper. So this is something that you would like to have in your property portfolio. So I suggest come this weekend, make appointment with me, because due to COVID, we have 1.5 hours with every person. So you can do it between Thursday and Sunday. We'll be there at Berkeley office. Okay, another question for Bianca. Would the get ground service fee increases over years?
No. No, we purposely want to keep the cost down. We want to make sure that it's accessible to everyone. The whole idea of setting up a company with Get Ground is to make it more cost effective. And if we would increase our fees, then that would eat into your return. So the idea is to keep the costing as low as possible.
Good. So very, very affordable to set up company and to have tax filing. So it's very nice to know, because many people are still doing online tax filing themselves. I always tell them, I don't bother. I just pay £300 and get someone to do it. I have no time to do all this. So with Get Ground in Singapore, we will be able to introduce your service to them.
Just one thing to add there, Doris, if I may. Even if you take all of the tax efficiencies out of it, and you just look at the cost of tax filing Plus, as an overseas investor, you will need to appoint someone as your process agent because you need to have a UK registered address. Now, most accountants would already charge you a minimum of £500 to act as your process agent. But when you have the UK limited company, you have the UK address, so you don't need to appoint an accountant as a process agent. So that's already a saving on its own.
Good.
It's funny, actually, it's interesting because Bank of China insists on a process agent for all of theirs. And actually, we act as process agent for all of our Bank of China clients. So we don't charge for it. But now you've told me they charge £500. I'm thinking we're going to be having a look. Seems like we've been undercharging. Gosh, Doris, you got those all for free. No, but I think it is a good cost saving for those people. That's good.
Roger, you got a question here. Will there be any delays due to COVID? Construction delay?
At the moment, there is no delays to our construction. So we don't anticipate there will be any delays to construction. So buyers can be assured of that.
Good. Another question that's for Mark. What is the, I think it's letting a management fee from B&R?
So in the UK, we charge 16%, but for our Singapore clients, we charge 12% plus VAT. And we collect that quarterly. We don't charge the letting fee up front. We don't charge the management fee up front. We charge it quarterly throughout the term. So you have continuity of income. And also if the tenant leaves early, we refund on a pro rata basis. We charge you on what we actually effectively receive. So obviously if we have tenants and a lot of tenants pay in advance, then we charge more upfront on what they've paid, but generally it's quarterly, and 12% is our reduced fee for all our Asia clients.
Okay. Another question from Susan Shuttleworth. Are the units freehold or leasehold? If so, what is the period? Okay, these properties are all 999-year lease, so they are leasehold. What else? There's another question for Bianca. What's the interest rate for a UK company to borrow for London property purchase?
That very much depends on someone's personal individual circumstances. There's many different products available. Some of the lenders can actually get quite close to the mortgage offers that you would get on a personal ownership. But I think what is very important to note here is that the interest rate you can fully offset that against your tax bill. So even if your interest rate is slightly higher, it's fully tax deductible, whereas in personal use, you only get a 20% tax credit.
I think the rates are anywhere. If you're asking on the rates, Doris, I spoke to someone yesterday, and I think the rates at the moment, UK residents, it's about 1.8 to 2%. Non-residents, it's anywhere from 2.5% I've seen going upwards. Companies can be a little bit more, but not a lot more. If you go to some of the Asian banks like Maybank, CIMB, UOB, OCBC, the rates can move up a little bit. But if you borrow from a UK bank, which is easy, then the rates are relatively low, anywhere from 2.5% to 3%. And that can be interest only as well as capital as well, if people want that.
Because it's a UK incorporated company, so can they borrow from a UK bank easily?
Yeah.
So the interest rate should be slightly lower, is it?
So if it's a person, then the rate is the lowest. If it's a company, it's slightly higher. But it'll be much of a muchness. UK company borrowing will be much of a muchness, and loan to value is anywhere from 60 to 75%. In fact, Maybank are doing 80% loan to value, but that means the way that loans are at the moment and the rental yields, it means you're going to be topping it up. So frankly, we recommend 65% is the right kind of level to borrow, but it's up to everybody's personal circumstances, whatever you want to do.
Another question for you, Mark. How much are the rentals at White City for 1 bed and 2 bed?
How much are the rentals? It depends on the unit. It really depends on the unit. And I love Doris putting me on the spot and asking me exact rentals. She's only asking because her flat's going to complete soon, and she thinks I'm about to say £1,000 a week for 2-bedroom units. But one bedrooms really range because it depends where you're looking, the size, and obviously the time of year. What people don't take into account is if you're renting Christmas week, your rental is going to be lower than it is in the middle of Easter, the middle of spring or autumn. But I mean, anywhere from £550 per week up to £700 a week on a 1-bedroom. On 2 bedrooms can be anywhere as low as 725, going upwards 1,000 for some of the very large, decent units. But your yields we're looking at that we've seen so far, as I said, on our unit was 4.7% gross yield. It's anywhere from 4.25% to 4.5%. Those are the yields that you're looking at, which I think for London, zone 2, where it is, it's unbelievably good. It just, the demand has been so strong. People just want this location. Rents we're achieving have been higher than TVC, Television Centre, which is on across the road. It's been really phenomenal. Even though in Television Centre, the product is finished, most of the apartments are completed, they've got their facilities there, people are still pumping for the White City product. We've ended up getting slightly higher rents, which has been really interesting.
Okay, very interesting question here. How many 1-bed and 2-beds available for Singapore launch? When is the expected completion and move-in date? Roger?
So we have about 40 apartments that we're launching in Singapore this weekend. Obviously, that's for our special incentive, but there is really quite a huge number of 1- and 2-bedroom apartments, and then various different floors. So there is a large amount of choice in terms of what buyers can buy into. In terms of completions, depends on, so in completions at Cassini, we're looking into the latter part of 2023 to Q1 in 2024. We also have some apartments that are available in another building within the development as well, and that's slightly early. So that's on the early part of 2023. And we also have, I think, one apartment left, which is completing before that as well. So we've got, in terms of what people are looking for in terms of completions, we've got a lot of availability.
Yeah. And because Cassini and Watersides are completing in 2023, as you know, Roger mentioned, that they do not qualify for this special stamp duty concession. But this weekend is a very special weekend for all Singaporeans to enjoy this incentive of £15,000 discount. So you're already a winner coming to buy this weekend. But we need to reserve it this weekend and exchange early next week, right? Is it early next week to exchange?
Yes. Yeah, early next week.
Yeah, so it's a great opportunity, special because of Doris Tan.
Exactly.
Get £15,000 more.
This is a great incentive that we are running for this.
Yeah. So I think there is no more questions. So please make your appointment with me on a 1.5 hour interval, and we hope to see you this weekend, or not this weekend, starting from Thursday to Sunday from 11 to 7. Yeah. So thank you very much, everybody on the panel, and I hope you all have a great time listening to all these panelists, and the questions are very interesting, and especially for Get Ground, I think it's great opportunity to find out more about owning a property in the UK. So please come and speak to us, and we will introduce you to Get Ground.
Doris, just before we finish, can I just ask something? Someone just asked a question. Haresh just asked a question twice. He's desperate, obviously, for the answer. This is for Roger. What percentage of the housing within White City is social housing? What percentage is social housing?
There is about 400. So out of 2,300 apartments that we are delivering, there is just over 400. They are in phase 2 of the development, which is in its own sort of separate section of the development. It's in a building on the northwest section of the development. So it's in a separate, a totally separate building. So we have 5 phases of the development. We launched phase 1. That was the initial phase that we launched. And we have literally a couple of apartments left in phase 1. Phase 2 is the affordable housing section of the development, and phase 3 is the water gardens, which in Cassini Tower is part of the water gardens. And then we have another 2 phases after that. So yeah, it will go on till about 2028. But the affordable housing is in one contained building.
Okay, any more questions, Mark?
That's it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
And hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.